These only go to the GW page for students. Zorbasha. Okay.
Ben, did we have access to last class recording? Because I was not able to find it.
Good to know.
Like Thursday.
When you
I dropped you a line that I couldn't attend.
Yeah, you did.
But then I tried to find it, but I couldn't. Maybe I'm not very knowledgeable on Moodle.
No. If you can't find it, I'd prefer knowing that you can't find it, because chances are it may not. It's probably not you.
Okay.
If anyone can give me the link that you're using for it, because I only dump it there. I don't actually access it the same port y'all do. So if someone at some point can send me the link, I'll make sure that we're getting things where they need to go. Because yeah,
I mean, which link? The YouTube one that you sent us on the first week, or the Moodle link?
The link for where you were able to see the first video, like the
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can copy and paste that one.
That'd be lovely. Thank you. And I'm sorry to interrupt the flow, but this is important because if you can't catch the lessons, you're missing it, and that's something I want to remedy. I appreciate you checking, Zaida. Okay. Let's see. Okay. In between that. Okay. Slow. Now I'm Azad. Now it's Chia. Now I'm Farhad. يعني خوش حالم بنا سينة فرهاد منيش شوني من باشم تو شوني منيش باشم spas. Oop. That's what happens when you have the wrong one up. Yeah, Bembora. Bira the Kamkawa Bashtira. Mania? Waya. Zor Basha. Okay. Okay, Bashtira. يلا chat. Okay. Zor Basha. Minna Mazad. Okay. Naz Nawim. Spas. Spasaida. I'm going to check that right quick. Let's see with. Did you get real quick? Did you get the? Let's see. Let me make sure that this is.
This is the only link. Yeah, this is the only link.
Okay.
We have received. Maybe I did. Yeah, I mean.
No. It's probably
I didn't see the class, but yeah.
Sure. Okay. After class, I will figure this out. I don't want to take up our class time for it, but I am glad to know that I'm writing this down. I'm not texting. Okay. Thank you very much for letting me know. And the same thing goes for if anything pops up during the week, you can't find something, please let me know. I really want to make sure that you're putting the work in, you're getting the stuff you need to do it. Okay. Spas. Pash kilas bash terbet. Be better after class. Joanna. Okay, ushtekitir. Shayani niya. Bashim. Okay. Naz nawim birzinjiya. Naz nawit chia. Naz nawim mahabadiya. Azad. Bale. Naz nawit chia. Naz nawim Salahuddin. Naz nawit chia. Naz nawim priest. Naz nawim ben. Naz nawim priest. Zor basha. Slav sana. Or sana memura.
Slav.
Johnny. Yeah, Jor basha. Inish bashim spas. Joanna. Okay. Let's see. Lisa. Slav. Denget niye isto. You're on mute.
Slow.
Slav. Bashtera. Joanna. Nawit chia.
Now I'm Lisa.
John.
Now it's chia.
Nawim ben. Naz nawit chia.
Naz nawim mila.
Zor basha. Who?
Naz nawit chia.
Naz nawim priesta. Naz nawim priesta.
Spas.
Khoshalem benasinet.
Minish koshalom.
Yek jar basha. Zaira.
Wow.
Slow. Now it's chia.
Min nawim Zaira. Nawit Chia.
Nawim ben. Naz nawit chia.
Nas Nawin Vadillo. Nas Nawit Chia.
Naz nawim priesta. John. Nicole Khan.
Slow.
Wow, then. Now it's chia.
Now I'm Nicole. Now it's Gia.
Now I'm Ben. Naz now it's chia.
Naz Nawim Springer. Naz Nawit Gia.
Naz now I'm priest.
Oh, Basha.
Pardon.
Hoshalim Ba Nazni.
Yes, there's pass. Sana.
Yes. How
Slav.
do you say yes?
Bale. Bale.
Vale. Vale. Yeah.
Hmm?
Slav.
Slav. Now it's
Slav.
chia.
Now Sena. Now Chia.
Now I'm Azad. Naz now it's chia.
Naz now. What does it mean?
Nini Naz now I'm Ben. Naz now I'm priest. Nowi Nicole. Naz nowi Springer.
What?
Jip.
Is that last name?
Bale. Rasta.
The Naz now.
Hmm?
Naz now Chia.
Bale.
Is that how I
Now it's chia. You may want to kill your video so you can give yourself a little more bandwidth for the audio. Not to tell you what to do, but that's what I would do.
I think the internet is freezing on me.
He can hear you better though. Dengit bashtera.
I think my audio, like the list working, it only froze. So I can't hear you what you're saying, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I might just jump in. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump into my other device. So if you see me twice,
Sounds good.
trying to get at least one of them.
Keshania. Zor Basha.
Thank you.
Debbie.
Slav.
Slow. Now it's chia.
And now I'm Debbie. Now with Chia.
Now Mustafa. Naz now it's chia.
Naz Nawim Duman. To Naz now with Chia.
Naz now Abdullah.
Hoshalam Bash Ba Nasinit.
Manish. Slow Alpha.
Slow.
Now it's chia.
Nawim Alpha. Nawit Chia.
Nawim Karzan.
Nawim Chia. Right?
Now it's Alpha. Nawim Karzan.
Okay. Nawim Chia.
Naznałem ilami. Naznałet chia.
Naznałim woolen.
خوش حالم بنسينت.
خوشحالم بنسينت.
جوانا. اوكي. اما يعني همومان لا بريكات جروب كوبونو ومن هبت. باشا؟ اوكي. او يعني سلاو ناوت تشيه ناز ناوت تشيه شوني خوش حالم بنسينت. باشا؟ یک جار باشا. اوكي. بريكات جروب تاكي یک چند کوتاهی من هیه سه group باشا جوان. I'm making sure that everyone has. There we go. Okay. I think we're okay. فرمونا. من يعني استا بس جويد قرب.
باش زيرة سلاو
Slav. Min Nawim Saida. Nawitchia.
Minawim Nicole. Was it خوشحالم با نسینید.
خوشحالم با نسیم. Minish.
تو جونی؟
Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
Vale.
Okay, no problem.
لبيرم شو بمبورا. Like لبيرم شو. Oh right. براسته. كيشانية. جوانا. سلاو دبي.
Slow, Tuchoni,
من باشم سباس توتشوني.
Zor Basham, Bas. Naznau Nawitchie,
Naznauim priest. Naznauit chia.
Min Naznawim Duman,
خوش حالم بنسينت.
Minish,
یک جار باشا. اوكي. ناز دومان ناوت chia.
Nawim Debbie,
دابي. زور باشا. تو باشي.
Zor Basham,
جوانا.
Spas,
شايني.
To Bashi,
منيش باشم. سباس. یک جار باشم. تو باشي.
Bash,
توتشوني راستا. جوانا. سباس.
Spas.
اوكي. اما breakout room دا دخينا لاقيك. جوانا. Slav Stephanie, دزانم که يعني دنگت نية بالم. Okay, did I end all the breakout rooms? Okay, we're good. Slav. Okay, دقيقة. Emma. هي زور باشا. Okay.
Wisconsin. And so other side.
Oh, Slav Sam, dänget heja. Sam, dänget heja. Are you?
Sorry, I'm still catching up and also driving a little.
Okay, cool. Keshania. Just let me know when that changes. Sana, presiarataja.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Do you have a question?
No. I was just wondering if I'm like, I just saw lines, so I thought we were gonna write.
No,
Start it.
Emma, vale, Aurasta. Emma, Danusin. Emma Danusin. Any video, okay.
Oh, nice, cool.
I have a question.
Edmo.
When you say Naz Nawam Miller, could you say, like, if it was more casual, could you say just if you ask me Naz now it's Chia, could I just say Nawam Miller, or is that wrong?
Iniwaku, okay, Azad, but now it's Chia. Naim Azad Birzinji. Vale. Yani Naim, Iniwaku, Naim Ben Priest. Yan, Naim Ben. Balom, Naz now it's Chia. Birzinji. Naz now it's Chia. Priest. Naz now, but I bet any priest, Miller, Helmi, Woolen, Springer. Balam now, yani Ben Priest, Azad Berzinji, Yan Ben Azad. Niwaku Inglisi, yani what's your name? Ben Priest. What's your name? Ben. What's your last name? Ben Priest? Nacher. Yani Hamon Steker. Does that answer the question?
Thank you. Spas.
Shayani Nia. Spaspotosh. Okay. Emma, despite the can legal yani hadfoni sorani unusiniha. Zurbasha. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm taking 1 second to clear the Arabic from my brain. I have not been using Kurdish today. But Tanya Kurdi. Okay. So we've gone over the first couple letters. The biggest trip ups, especially from an Arabic or a Persian background, are going to be these the vowels, right? A or bimbura. A. That's sufficient for today. A u a dakayek. This is what happens when you're using them. Okay. A, Aleph, A. Now, remember last week we talked about, and please, anybody want to feel like jumping in, you're always welcome to chime in. The Arab or the Persian speaker are going to say this is a ha in English. It is not. This is an a. This is an a. In Iwaku, praktik ba ta. Zorbasha. Okay, chon miniwaku art. Chon art denusim. Chon art. And again, you can try this out on your own. I'm doing this for practice. And one thing that we can do when we're a little more comfortable with it, there's a whiteboard that we can actually all write on. I've done that, and I want to give everyone a little more practice first before we jump into that. Okay.
I'm sorry. The B, it has a dot before the line, or should we put the dot after the line? Like
in legal awa yan awa. The B or the T?
Okay.
Okay. Let me know if this answers your question. Okay. Legal ought.
Yes.
Ought. Now what ought? This one's easier to see because it's distinct. Ot. Zorbasha. What do you notice about this again? What's funny about, I guess, different about the way it's written?
From right to left.
Right to left. Okay. How about from an Arabic or Persian perspective? What's different?
The Hamza,
Hamza. Yes.
rather on the line.
Yes. It's kind of funny looking.
Very.
Remember all those vowels, they're very shy. They don't like to start off. Okay. Chon denusin at. At. Saw Hada. Tobashi?
Yes, Slauben.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Tobashi?
Yes, Zurbat.
Yeah, Tobashi. And yeah, I'm so glad to have anybody here at any point. So
Thank you.
if you're late, I don't care. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Paspotosh. No, thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. Zorbasha, Chon the Dunusin at. And again, in the future, like starting next week, we're going to use the whiteboard so we can actually demonstrate what we're trying this. So I'll actually be able to see what you're doing. And that's going to be very useful for me because it helps me see what you're hearing, if that makes sense. So if you feel like participating in that, it's very helpful. And if you don't, that's okay. All right. At. At. At.
Can you repeat them again, like in spoken?
Chip? دوباره تکرار بکن.
بله.
At. You want me to repeat which again?
Both of them. Like I just want to see listen to the difference.
Ought. At. Ought. At. Yeah, so this aleph is going to be that aw, like bought or got, versus a is in like like it's more like a fatha. And for all intents and purposes, this is a fatha. These are parentheses.
You know what? The way I hear it, like the med.
Yeah.
You know, like
okay.
when you have Asya, that's how I'm hearing it.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
High pitch, low pitch. That's how I'm hearing it.
Yeah, this aleph is Chip. Someone else was saying something. No? Okay. Yeah, it's a low pitch for the aleph. It doesn't change the length of the sound though. So it's not a long vowel. There's not a long vowel versus short vowel. They're just vowels. Okay.
I try to understand it Ben by the ha, make it light sana. Make the hamza lighter than the one with the aleph.
Bad.
Kind of make it close to me because we have it in Arabic in a different way. It doesn't mean, I think, just lighter with the ha. So I say
It's almost like if you'd used a sod with an aleph next to it.
Yeah.
In terms of like a saw.
Yes, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also a Quranic way, the tajweed way, when you pronounce the proper way of reading, you have Allah,
Yes, that's true.
and you have, yeah. So I think
that's a good way to look at that.
Thank you.
Okay. Chon de nusin ta. Ta. And the hour art chon de nusin ta. And if the colors are confusing, let me know. Ta. Normally you write in a single fluid motion. I'm breaking it up for the purpose of showing you the difference between the letters. Ta. Ta. وتا بزمانی کردی یعنی until. تا استا. Until right now. تا Iraq. Up until Iraq. زور باشه. Okay. چون دنوسین تا. چون دنوسین تا.
Hi, Ben.
بله.
Quick question. So from what I understand, is in my head or in my learning is very North American.
Hmm.
Is it really or is it tonal, as I think Sana just mentioned? Is it like maybe not tonal but like based upon pitch, or is it really
That's how they'll say it, like Bale.
Okay.
Like when I say yes. Bale.
Ballet?
Bale.
Okay.
So it turns out like an
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I mean, you can find, if you really want to get in the nitty gritty, I'm sure you can find some slight differentiation across regions. But if
Sure.
you say with anytime you have this letter, they'll know what you're talking about. So,
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
gosh. Vale.
The way, oh, sorry. I
Come
was
on.
going to say the way we learned it in Arabic was for a ah, think of it, your tongue as like curving upwards, and an ah, almost comes like from the back of your throat, or your tongue kind of like dips inward.
Vale.
Okay. I'm glad you all can't see me right now. I'm practicing that.
Hey, you're good. No, and this is why it's great to have other learners of other languages here, because they can give you the kind of inputs. And different bodies will do things a little bit, like some things are universal, but then things are a little different. So,
Sure.
okay. Ta. 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 Basha. Okay. Chondelain or Chondanusin. Chondanusin bought. Bought. Chondanusin bought. 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 And for those who are new to the language, new to the writing system entirely, you'll notice that this aleph here, that the all, it doesn't connect to the left. If we were to connect it, this now that's a lamb. So this would be BLT. Oh well, that's not a T, it's a T. So it'd be like built is what you'd be saying right there. With this joined right here, it turns into a different letter. So if you join these, you've done a different sound entirely. Versus this, bought. And the same thing here, like with the ta, if we were to do the ta here. Okay, okay, let's do bought u esta tab. Chon denusin tab. There's no key cut to make this quick, I'm sorry. Tab. Chon denusin tab. 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 Bought. Tab. And if you joined it though, like say if you treated this like a hat, you'll have created something like this right here. That'd be like tib. It doesn't mean anything. And like, because there are no short vowels, there's no fatha, there's no kasra, there's no dhamma, none of that in Sorani. This just sounds like tib. It's nonsense. Granted, there are some words, as we said earlier, there are some words in Kurdish that have more consonant clusters than an Arab speaker would be comfortable with. My favorite example of this is one way of saying like to prostrate oneself, kirnush birdin. How would I not do that? Kirnush birdin. Kirnush, which is like bizroka. Oops. Oh, that kirnush birdin. All right. So I said that there's no short vowels in this. The one exception is it's called a bizroka. A bizroka or bizween. This is just the small I noise that you have to say to put a whole bunch of consonants together. No matter how fast you try to say the word birdin, which is like to carry, you can't say birdin without some kind of I noise coming out. Birdin, birdin. It's going to sound like an I or maybe an if you're depending how you say it. But that's a bizroka. And it won't be here when we're writing. Like this is just like K, ka, ra, noon, wow, sheen. There's no I noise here. It's just what your body has to do. So when I write it, you'll see an I there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Really?
And also, if this is helpful or not helpful, or if you feel like there's a better way that you would learn from this particular exercise, let me know. Or if anyone's like colorblind, I haven't had that happen yet, but it may happen, and I'd like to know. So just let me know either privately or in class. It doesn't bother me either way.
I have a question. Well,
Fermo, Alpha, Pashan. I'm not sure who asked the second one. Alpha.
sure. One thing that would help me is I understand that we're just putting the sounds together,
Yep.
but if these words actually mean something, that helps me with association.
Vale. I totally agree with you on that one. For the early noises, like just hearing that difference, I like to keep it really short, which means I make stuff up.
Did you say one word meant until?
Yeah, ta.
Tau? Tau. Okay.
Ta.
Thank you.
Yani waku. Dakayek. Yani. Oops. Ta. Ta está. Up until now.
Oh, it's ta.
Ta está. Ta está.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. In general, though, I absolutely agree that the best way to learn anything like that is to have associations with it. So the more like, let's see. Oh, I guess I did have to do that. Yeah, the more you do that, the better it'll be. I'll try to think of some good ways to do it for these, but for right now, it's going to be just random noises. And if it
Sure.
means something, I'll let you know. Okay. Presiari third. There was another question.
Karnush Birden, what does it mean?
Oh, kirnush birdun is to like to bow down, to prostrate yourself. It's not exactly coming up in common speech. You know, you're like, hi, what's your name? Bow down.
Oh,
Take me to your leader type stuff. But Yeah, it was just like an example of a lot of freaking consonants in a row. That's all it is. And even then a lot of Kurds will say kirnushbirden without the ra. They'll just do kirnushbirden. But I like this because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 consonants with a bizroka. Just a lot going on in your mouth in one place. Joanna, presiari terheya.
So I had a question.
Fermo.
The which is that hamza,
Mhm.
does it only come at the beginning of the word?
No, this can come anywhere. Let's actually go to.
Sometimes I only saw it at the beginning. So I thought-
Vale. But that's just because right now I am here. We're gonna go to a news site right quick, and I'll show you what this looks like in practice. Because right now, because they're such short words, I'm glad you brought that up. Dakayek Rudao Dakayek Rudalatwaya. Area. Area. Zorbasha. Okay. Okay, here's. Okay. So, look for right now, there's a lot going on. Try to find all of those as. I'm going to write it in the chat. See where you can find any of those little A noises. I'm going to write the symbol in our chat here. Ba. Any of that I don't know what it looks like if you compare it to English. I got nothing. It's like a backwards A. Okay. Can you see any?
I do. The starting all the way over to the right, the second row.
Ah, here we go. There's 1 and 2.
What about the first one?
Yeah.
Ha?
Guta, yani guta beji, pentagon, borrudao, roli, heza, kani, Amerika, la, Iraq, nagorawa. So that A noise can happen anywhere. Let's see if we can find a better example here.
When you have a chance, can you just go back and show Pentagon? Because I just think that's really cool.
Oh yeah. Sure. All right, I'm gonna take the actually this is perfect. I'm gonna take a word from Arabic and Persian. I'll show it. Zurspas, hala, zurbasha. Okay. Pentagon. Pentagon.
Nice.
Vale. Okay, I'm going in the chat, I'm going to paste wazaret. Wazaret. Wazara yani chia. Wazaret?
Ministry?
in Arabic?
Yep.
Correct, Sana?
Yeah, ministry.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wizara.
Wazaret. But those are two A noises. Wazaret. Zurbasha. And yeah, it's just like Sam, you mentioned that you've learned Arabic. Yeah. So there's gonna be a lot of Arabic in Sorani Kurdish. We went over this a little bit the first time. And again, Zaida, thank you for letting me know that the video is not easily accessible. I want to fix that. Okay. If there are no further questions, we're going to jump into.
Sorry to interrupt. What was wazaret? What did that mean?
Wazaret, ministry. Okay.
Oh, okay. Not embassy. No, ministry.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Balioskhana is an embassy. So there are going to be some that are totally different. But even then, Khana is the same. Actually, Khana, because of Persian and that's traveled so far, like Khana means like the house of, like and you'll still there even in North Africa, there are some places that even have like khana, like chai khana or shai khana.
Kutub Khan in
Chip?
Iraq, we say Kutub Khana,
Yep,
like
yep.
a library or a place to
Yeah.
study.
Iraq is a fascinating place for such a meld of languages and cultures. My goodness.
That's true.
Incredible. It really is. Okay. We're gonna jump ahead a little bit in the lecture. Okay, just so I'll have said it. I'm going back to the last lecture actually. Part of, in terms of the region itself, part of the reason that Kurdistan keeps popping up and will keep popping up has to do with resources and locations. This is the water table for Tigris and Euphrates. The headwaters are up in Turkish Kurdistan. There are some 20 dams that are here. There'll be more. Dams are they're a hot topic, have been for a long time and will increasingly be so. So this is, these are Kurdish areas. You look actually at the oil, it's, this is one of the Majnoon field is massive. And that's in Kirkuk. That's part of why, like, I was in Iraq for the before, during, and after the referendum for independence, and that really boiled down to whether or not they could keep Kirkuk. So if you look at, you kind of put that all together, this is just these massively important geographic areas, from everything from petropolitics to water, and even if tomorrow we just didn't have, we somehow didn't need oil and gas, which if you look at how many products we use that aren't even like fuel related, it ain't gonna happen. But the water issue by itself is going to be massively important for the politics of Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Jordan. Tigris and Euphrates feed a lot. Okay. So Ottoman, we're going to talk a bit about both the Ottoman and the Safavid and Qajar empires. So just to give you a scope of how big the Ottoman Empire was at its peak, it covered a massive amount of territory. So you've got crud ton of the Balkans, all of mainland Turkey. You've got massive amounts of Mesopotamia. You've got the inhabitable parts of the Jazira, what's that name? Of the peninsula. Large parts of North Africa. Right. That started to get chiseled into, and we will talk very briefly. I wish we had more time to talk about it, but we'll talk very briefly about kind of the demise of the Ottoman Empire. But if you look at it, Kurdish groups live in kind of this tectonic region between empires. So if you're looking at, and again, if you were able to put that map over, this is they exist largely between these two empires. Like Kurdistan is the name of a province here, right? So they've been used on both sides of these conflicts for a long time. And the groups that have power now have gotten really good at playing that game. So. And again, if anybody wants to jump in, has something to chime in or a question, please do. I don't like hearing, like, I'm a primarily a language teacher. I don't like hearing myself being the main speaker. It feels wrong. Okay, I actually like that. There's a guy, Massimo D'Azeglio, lived in the 19th century. There's a quote I really like from him. It's not on here, but it's, to have in Italy, first, we must make Italians. We take it for granted. It's easy, not I'm saying all of us do, but it's really easy to take for granted the idea of the nation state or even a nation, right? We live in a year, like we've had generations of this concept to build, to be put in practice, both, soft power and a lot of hard power, putting that into effect. So nationalism, right? Just like the Kurdish language in terms of the codification happening late, nationalism came a little late as well. So this is, and the part of that really just has to do with really economics and exposure to these different cultures. But Kurdistan wasn't that much later relative to other fringe areas of empires. But like when I wrote my dissertation, it's on Kurdish nationalisms and Islam, or Kurdish nationalism and Islam, but I always called it Kurdish nationalisms because you could talk to different people and they would give you a little bit different version. If you know anything about evolutionary theory, I like it thinking of it like Darwin's finches, where he would go to these islands and these finches were all related, but they had different beak sizes. They were distinct between islands. So you can actually go to these different places and see these different, they're related, but not quite the same thing. So nationalism is a bit that same way. Some of it is geographic. Some of it really has to do with, who taught you. With the way education is now, we get a lot more consolidation of narratives. This is more of an opinion. I don't have someone that's written more than me to go back and say, well, she said that. This is just my observation, is that we're seeing a lot of consolidation of narratives, and that really has to do with being in the age of the internet. And when all the people start reading the same scholars, they all start sounding like the same scholars. Like, if you've got, okay, I'm not doing this. Sorry. Okay. So
can I ask a question?
Please.
In terms of language and nationalism and the codification of Kurdish, what do you think about how they're linked? Is the codification more necessary for the nationalism?
Yeah, I think these are very much part and parcel. Like there are nationalist movements that failed because they couldn't speak the same dialect. So they were like, there's some revolts that we'll get to, that part of the reason they didn't they failed quicker than they might have otherwise. I don't want to say they would have succeeded because they were hardcore underdogs in this one. When you're fighting the house is hard to beat. But part of the reason they failed as quickly as they did was because like they couldn't understand each other. And they also have like a different idea of, and one thing, when we get a little further on, the question I will ask you, just to ponder on your own, and we can discuss this later if you want to, is the idea of, and this is all hypothetical, I'm not interested in pushing any particular political idea. But the idea is like, okay, say there was a Kurdistan. Where's it going to be? Where's it not going to be? And who's going to lead it? These are questions that they're hard questions for them to answer, even hypothetically speaking. So, and again, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to court controversy. It's just a genuine question, because people talk a lot about the idea of there being a Kurdish state. You're like, okay, how are you really going to, hypothetically, how do you do that? Right. And yeah, part of that.
With the sort of contrasting the codification, you've also got this, amazing diversity. I was really struck by something you said last time about how people nearby, maybe someone just outside of Erbil, can't understand a certain phrase or something like that. So is that precious though? That sort of, that dynamism and the diversity of all of these different language groups, is that something like, it's very interesting from a cultural perspective, maybe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to underplay that. I'm just saying in terms of, especially in the early 20th century, where you're trying to literally consolidate tribes to fight against the Ottomans, they didn't really care so much about the diversity and the richness of the culture. We do, but that's also because we're not fighting their fight. Like, even
we have a luxury to think about that. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, it sounds maybe even, I'm not trying to sound patronizing, because I absolutely agree with you. I think, like, it's a really fascinating thing. And there's some really cool efforts going on to preserve that distinction between areas. Hopefully we'll get to talk about some of that, because it really is cool. But in terms of, I'm talking like just down and gritty debate, like the nuts and bolts of nationalism, consolidation, being able to have a consolidated narrative that enough people can get around and enough people can understand and communicate. those are baseline necessities for creating and maintaining a political movement, which can translate into, military movements, civil movements, anything like that.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
It makes sense because language is beyond the letters and you just the grammar and the stuff like that. So there is a great understanding and interpretation between, those tribes. I can imagine if I take it from the concrete part, absolutely, I think it makes very sense. If there is a different concepts behind the dialect, behind the language, to understand each other, absolutely, this is one of the reasons.
Yeah, and it's in part of there's so much discussion we can have just on this page. But we just don't have the time, unfortunately. I'm gonna keep going. Thank you. Hold on, I just pushed the wrong freaking button. There we go. Okay. Okay. One idea I'll bring here is the power of both of being able to spread speech. Right. I'm a huge believer in the idea of and suddenly I'm forgetting his name. Oh my gosh. Paul Anderson's Imagined Communities, where one of the things he argues is that the creation of a printing press, within the time that it did, was really the difference between, Martin Luther having 99 issues on the door of one church versus 100 churches. And if you have a populace that can actually read it, you suddenly have a shared idea, or at least a discussion point that everyone's heard of that, without print, without radio, without internet, you just can't have these ideas. Like you can maybe come up with your own, but you can't consolidate. Anyway, so part of this, part of the geography is part of why it was difficult to. It's easy to have these communities more divided because of some of these are kind of isolated pockets. Some are closer together, and a lot of them were a lot smaller for a very long time. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the Ottoman Empire and the Safavid and then the Qajar empires, Kurdish language just wasn't. It wasn't a language of the court. It wasn't a language necessarily. There was poetry in it, but it was fair. We'll get to a tiny few examples of it. And there are some really big efforts to preserve and understand that. Because again, Lisa, I'm not trying to diminish the points you were making. I really want to make that very clear that I was not poo-pooing that. But there wasn't the same economic and political drivers for Kurdish to be any kind of lingua franca beyond what it would be. Because if you wanted a better job, you would speak Ottoman, or you'd speak, one of these bigger languages that had more opportunities attached to it back in the day. Okay, and there's the literal. Have you heard the term "mind your P's and Q's"?
Yeah.
Does anyone know what that actually means? Like where it came from?
I've heard it means mind your pints and quarts from bar behavior.
Okay, mind your P's and Q's. If you're operating a typeset, a typeset, you got to literally line up every single word, and then you got to stamp each page. It's just a big stamp. But a P can look just like a Q if you turn it the wrong way. So then suddenly your orthography looks a little funky because you've just put an upside down Q to be a P, right? So your writing is going to look funky. Your boss is going to be unhappy. Mind your P's and Q's, right? That's English. We have uppercase and lowercase, and then the letters and the letters and the numbers, right? This is with alphabets we have 4 different versions. And you have, this would be a nightmare to have to do with a printing press. So there's actually even just doing Persian and Arabic was a real trick. They were harder to have printing presses. There was just some technological issues with that. And then you also would have on top of that, you had some, like in the Safavid Empire, you had some kind of Luddites some people who, for various political reasons, were resistant to the idea of this catching on. But this is actually a really fun example. Oh, that is gross. I just found out that the plants we have mosquito larvae in them. That is disgusting. All right. Information that I should have shared here. All right. And I swear I don't read text. It just popped up. This right here is actually from a bit of Kurdish poetry, 17th century. It has Bejumla Jibom Mira Lekarin. This actually has, this has Arabic in it. This has Kurmanji in it. This has Persian in it. So a lot of this really early Kurdish work, which existed for hundreds of years, it had even more influences from these surrounding larger languages, but they still used, like they're kind of the patron saints of Kurdish literary movements, were some of these early guys. We don't have any.
Can I ask about, sorry,
Yes,
can I ask about punctuation?
Sure.
Do they use full stops or periods in American and commas the way that we do in Latin-based alphabets, or
They
is
do
it
now.
or not?
It was an eventual adoption. Initially, no. Like if you look at earlier, anything like Arabic, Persian, or Kurdish for that matter, they just didn't have the same, they didn't adopt punctuation the same way. This is a more modern use. And you'll see even like there, I'll be reading some Arabic texts, and by text, I mean news, right? And I can tell that they're more Eastern Western media, because they'll use some phrases like, they'll use some phrases that are just very English sounding. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Anyway, it doesn't matter here. All I'm saying is they do now, didn't used to. So they would have like, for like poetry though, you have stanzas, right? So you can tell where things start and stop. And a lot of it would have been very oral as well. I'm talking about poetry though. Let's see. Yeah, so like this is an old, this is one of the, so some of the, if you actually look at some of the earlier efforts to codify the Kurdish, it was actually a lot of former British officers and missionaries. And most missionaries have a very interesting history in the Middle East in general. So my last name is Priest, and I went to go teach English at a refugee camp. They thought, and I saw my name, they're like, Ben the Priest. I'm like, oh my gosh, my day is going to be so long. Because they thought I was like going to preach them or something. I'm like, oh, dude, no, my friends, I'm telling you, it's right there. I'm not doing anything. I'm not, but like they were sure I was there for something. Oh my, that last name. Anyway, so it's a funny story. It was a long friggin' day. Anyway, so you get some, this is a fun quote from one of the older ones, not from 1910. You know, it's a kind of dog Persian, degraded Persian dialect is none of these, you know, so it's its own language. Okay, our last bit right here. This is the first Kurdish newspaper. It was actually published in Cairo. We'll go into why that came to be. But this is in Kurdistan. It does not look like modern Sorani. This has a lot more Kurmanji and like some kind of Hakkari Badini dialect in it. It has a ton of Arabic, a ton of Persian, it's Ottoman in it. I don't speak or read Ottoman, but I just know it has it. And it'll look a lot more familiar to an Arab or Persian speaker as opposed to the alphabet we're talking about today. So,
what's the name of the paper?
Kurdistan.
That's called Kurdistan.
Yeah, that right there is the title, Kurdistan.
All
right.
And in Kurdish, the word for Kurdistan, is it Kurdistan?
Yes. So does anyone know what stan means?
The country, region, land.
It's technically like the place of standing. So like no one translates it that way though. It sounds stupid.
Like Mocha in Arabic.
Chip?
Mocha.
Yeah, Malka. Yeah, it's basically like the place of, yeah. But it's like the place of the Kurds, you know, Pakistan, Kurdistan, Armenistan, Dagestan. Actually, Dagestan's a fun one because it's actually like the place of the mountains. It's not even the people, it's the mountains.
It has 13 and 15. This is the Hijri calendar or what? The Islamic 13,
honest
15. and the
goodness,
calendar.
I don't know what calendar they were using.
Okay.
Nisan, it's the Georgian. It says
15.
Nisan. 9 Nisan. Do you see that? 30 ذو القعدة 13, 15, and then 9 Nisan, 13, 14, which doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I don't
Why
know what
did
they
it
use.
say Nisan and then ذو القعدة?
this is a Hijri calendar, Dhul Qa'dah and 13,
ذو
15.
القعدة, but then
That would
Nisan is
make more
13.
sense.
Nisan, I think this is the Levant area, the calendar for them. Nisan.
Yep,
Well, Nisan means April.
April. It was April. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Last idea here. So this is because we're talking about literature. So this is Kurdayeti is what really comes like that's the word for like Kurdishism to be a Kurd. So the Sharafnameh was written in 1595 in Persian by the Kurdish Emir Sharaf Khan Bidlisi. It was critical of Ottoman rule. Even though it was in Persian, it was proto-Kurdish nationalism. Like before nationalism was a thing, it showed more of this idea of him thinking of the people being their own people. So Ahmad Khani or Ahmad Khani, depending who you're talking to, wrote Memuzin, it's called the Kurdish Romeo and Juliet in 1692. It is a very, most Kurds will know what this is. They're very proud of it. It was basically about these Kurdish tribes who were kept separate purposefully by these, I can't remember what they really used from, but basically by jealous non-Kurds, like this idea that the analogy and here being that, our Kurdish groups, our people are being separated on purpose to keep us from becoming stronger. And they actually have graves for both Mem and Zine in Turkey. I'm trying to remember where, what's actually in those graves. I have no idea, but I was an ethnographer, so I never cared about what's actually there. I care about what people believe. Like it doesn't make any difference. Anyway, okay. That is it for today. We will pick up on Thursday, and I'm going to find out where these things are going, and I'm going to give you the links. So, like Zayda, Zayda, I'll have that to you this evening or tomorrow at the latest.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any last thoughts or questions?
What does Nama mean?
Okay.
Nama?
Nama?
Yeah,
Nama
like
in
Nama.
Letter.
yes. Yeah, I'm not sure if they heard you. Go ahead and say it again.
Is it letter?
Yes. Yeah.
Letter like ABC or letter that you write
like a message or it's like a
okay.
yeah, a Nama. So yes, it can be a letter, an epistle, something to that extent.
Oh.
Juan. Okay, we will jump into, there's so much more to say. There's always more to say. Okay, I got to get bedtime for my kids. Sort of spots. If you have any questions, let me know. I am going to, okay, yeah, I got my alarm for fixing the video issues popped up. I will take care of it. Sort of spots, boyosh. Rosie, Ripen Shema, Datan Bimoa. I'll see y'all on Thursday.
Bye.
Hafiz.
Bas.
Tap and Shabbat.
This.
Bas.